Hi, my name is Daniel Bridge. I am the armchair model railroader. I live on Kent Island in the Chesapeake Bay in Maryland, or as many people around the world call it, Maryland. I I had a stroke like a year ago, and I I've made a lot of model railroad drawings in my lifetime. And I just want to share a little bit about the current model railroad that I've been working on for uh, 10, 10 years now. I don't ever build anything, I just design stuff, and I just want to share one of my recent drawings with you. So, this is a very condensed version of Ivy City Yard in Washington, D.C. Uh, this is, I'm trying to model an era when the yard was in its original 1907 condition. It had a lead coming in from the left side that was from the other part of Ivy City Yard uh, where they stored pasture equipment. And then there was a lead coming off of the Y that went around almost the entire yard and through it. And the vertical lines that are passing through this image are the areas where GG1s went through to get to their sanding towers, which were over here in this space right here, indicated by these two boxes right here. And then this area here was a coal tower. There was a huge brick coal tower there. It's gone now. This whole facility was completely remodeled by Amtrak sometime between when they took over operations on the Northeast Corridor. So these roundhouses and turntables, they don't exist in this space anymore. The facility had a vast amount of ash pits, which are represented by this block right here. I'm not sure if it was 4 tracks, 5 tracks, or even 6 or 7 tracks. There was a lot of ash pits there. The ash pits were massive. They could handle 3 locomotives at the same time. And the facility could churn out a lot of maintenance on steam locomotives very quickly. The Washington, D.C. Union Station was served by the Chesapeake and Ohio Railroad, the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, the Pennsylvania Railroad, what was another one? So the RF&P, the Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Potomac, I believe is what that stands for. The Southern Railway, the Seaboard Airline, and the Atlantic Coastlines. It did a lot of traffic came through here. In about 1939, I'm not exactly sure, the Pennsylvania Railroad finished electrification, and this is the southern terminus of passenger equipment anyway for the Pennsylvania. I'm sure at some point they would attach their passenger cars to other railroads that were going further south to like Florida, and they could attach their cars to trains going out west to LA. And it was vice versa. I've seen videos and other pictures before of Pennsylvania railroad cars attached to the back of trains like from the Santa Fe. And I think That was pretty cool. Anyway, up here in this area, there's a lot of tracks, a lot more tracks than there really was in the real place. This is, believe it or not, even with this large facility the way it is in this drawing, this is a scaled down version of the real thing. And I don't know exactly what every track was used for, but I'm pretty sure that this area over here was where locomotives were done being finished, to be maintained. And they would put diesels here and steam locomotives here, and then there was some sand tower equipment and some administration buildings. There was probably tracks over here, maybe not. I'm not exactly sure, but these 3 tracks would be a good place for mow equipment. And over here, I put 3 more stubs just because I can. I imagined if it was my model railroad, if I were modeling this, I would want to put cabooses or locomotives that were out of service or being, were scheduled to be scrapped or something along those lines. The roundhouses, I do remember from some drawings that they did have exit tracks that were not these 2 tracks. They had some other exit tracks. And up here in this portion of the roundhouse, the reason I put a line through the roundhouse right there is that I'm pretty much sure that that's the portion of the roundhouse that remained after the rest of the facility was torn down. This was torn down. This was all torn down. That pit was filled in. The arrangement of the tracks leading out of the coal tower are actually much different than this. I just made a simplified version. Their version was very much something that you would have seen in like Victorian England, where each track goes to both turntables, and it was very complex. Over here in this area is there's a postie right there, sorry. Over here in this area there is an oil facility where they could put in diesel fuel. Diesels came along and they needed some place to maintain them. There was a little tiny diesel shop up here. There was some rip tracks over here. There was a lot of warehouse space over on this side of the facility. There was plenty of spaces for wheel sets to be put in. There was actually a lot more wheel set facilities in this area here. Could have been taken up by an entire area just for storing wheel sets. In the real version, it's much longer than this space. All the tracks eventually came to 2 stub-in tracks. I only have 1 on this drawing. There was 2, and they were way off of this drawing. I knew that there was a car wash facility someplace. It was either up here, which I kind of doubt because it's very cramped up there. It was somewhere around in this area here. Anyway, yeah. Ivy City Locomotive and Car Maintenance Facility. It still exists as a rail yard today if you look at Google Images, but if you want to see something like this, where I found this image many years ago, was on historic aerials. If you look at Washington, D.C. in 1951 on historic aerials, you'll be able to see Ivy City Yard maintenance facility as it was originally designed, minus, of course, the diesel facilities. In 1907, I think is when it was built originally, and then in 1939 the Pennsylvania Railroad added these electrified sections. This might be a little bit too much electric. I think it was not I don't think it was 5 tracks. I think it was actually just 3, and each catenary post was just a single post with a cantilever structure on it that held up the transmission wires. And I think it would be a really cool scene in a model railroad. I always envision it as being a separate peninsula just for this massive yard, and I really like Ivy City. The twin turntables are really cool looking. There was a Life magazine cover where I think they were standing on top of this roundhouse right here, looking across the turntable pits to this roundhouse. And it's a really cool black and white photograph that has two turntables in it. And, Chesapeake and Ohio locomotives were sitting on it. I think two C&O locomotives. I'm Dan Bridge, and I'm the armchair model railroader. And like, subscribe, comment. I'm always open to discussions. I know that I get information wrong all the time. I don't pretend to know everything about what I'm talking about. So I'll have a good day or evening